Hi everyone, a very warm good afternoon to all in attendance. Welcome to this webinar on everything you need to know about GRE and TOEFL, presented by HDFC Credila and ETS India. My name is Dhaval Rathod and I'll be your host for today. Continuing with our efforts to help out aspirants in getting one step closer to their dream education, we at HDFC Credila bring you yet another webinar in this ongoing series. Today we have a very special guest all the way from ETS India, who will educate us on all things GRE and TOEFL. Everyone, please welcome Mr. Joseph Augustine. Thanks for joining us, Joseph. We highly appreciate you doing this with us today. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Dhaval.
Great. Joseph is the regional manager for North and East regions at ETS India. He has a rich experience spanning over 12 years, and he's helped more than 5,000 students and is still counting. Folks, without further ado, we're going to keep this very simple. Joseph will share everything that he knows about GRE and TOEFL. And should you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat box, right? And we will answer them at the end of the session. Do stick around, and who knows, your questions will be answered as Joseph shares his knowledge about both these exams with us. Also, I was told by Joseph that there's something special also plugged in this session, so stay tuned. Passing on the baton to you, Joseph. Over to you.
Thank you, Dhaval, and good evening to all the students who are present here. My name is Joseph Augustine. I represent Education Testing Services. Like Mr. Dhaval has said, I have counseled more than 5,000 plus students till now. So today I'll be talking to you about TOEFL and GRE. Guys, also towards the end of the session, I have kept a small quiz for all of you. So I request all of you to be present till the end of the session. The quiz will be on TOEFL and GRE, and the students will be answering those questions correctly. Top 3 students will be getting an Amazon voucher worth rupees 1,000 rupees from us, right? So without any delay, guys, I would like to start off with the session. So this will be an interactive session, and I would like to listen from you as well. So I'll be asking a lot of questions regarding TOEFL and GRE, okay, in between as well. So my first question to the students who are there present here, you can type in the chat box. Do one of you know the full form of TOEFL? You can type in the chat box the full form of the TOEFL test. Any guesses? Okay. So guys, you can type in the chat box. So we'll start off with the session. So TOEFL stands for Test of English as a Foreign Language. So any student who is planning to study abroad has to take a English proficiency test, right? And English proficiency test is mandatory, especially for the students who are coming from a non-English speaking country to a English speaking country, right? So that is why English proficiency test is mandatory for a student, and TOEFL is one of the English proficiency test that a university prefers or a country prefers, right? So in my today's session, I'll be covering why TOEFL. I'll be talking about the test overview. We'll be talking about the format of the test, the enhancements which are there in the test, the test prep material which are available free of cost on the ETS website for the students, also the process for registering for the TOEFL test, and I'll also give some light on the TOEFL home edition as well as paper edition. So guys, this is something that a lot of students have asked me that, why should a student choose TOEFL? So guys, first of all, TOEFL is being accepted by 11,500 plus institutions across the globe and countries like US, UK, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, Germany. All the countries are accepting the TOEFL scores, right? TOEFL has also come up with different variants to the test. Some students might be knowing about the TOEFL IBT, where a student goes to a test center and take the test. IBT here stands for internet-based test, right? And there is also a version which is called the TOEFL Home Edition, which was introduced at the time of pandemic. So with this, a student can now take this test at home. They don't have to go to a test center. They can take this test on their laptop at home, right? Also, we have the TOEFL paper edition as well. This is basically for the students who are not, who don't want to take a test online. They would, they prefer taking this test on a paper. They can go for the paper edition as well. Also, guys, TOEFL, like I told you, it tests you on 4 skills, which is reading, writing, listening, and speaking. TOEFL test is a completely academic 100% academic oriented test. So when you're preparing for TOEFL here in India, you're actually getting yourself prepared for the university abroad where you're going to apply in. Also, TOEFL believes in giving a fair and objective scoring, which means that the scoring which has been given to you is by both a human rater as well as an artificial intelligence rater. Whereas if you compare it with a test like IELTS or PT, which is there in the market, the rating is being done by human rater. And with TOEFL, the rating is being given by both artificial intelligence rater and a human rater, which means that let's say human rater rates you 5 or a 4, it rates you. Artificial intelligence rater gives you a 6. So it makes sure that both the scores get matched, right? And it gives you a good, fair, and objective scoring. The score for TOEFL is valid for 2 years, and the cost for the TOEFL paper is 190 US dollars. So, like I told you guys, TOEFL is accepted. 100% acceptance is there for TOEFL in US, Canada, UK, Australia, New Zealand, Germany, and 11,500 plus institutions across the globe is accepting TOEFL currently. Now coming to structure of the TOEFL test, guys. After 1st August 2019, TOEFL test has become shorter in duration. So earlier it was a 3 hours 30 minutes test, but now TOEFL test is just for 3 hours. So what are the changes? So some questions have been, number of questions have been reduced here, and if I talk about in the reading passage, there are 3 to 4 passages, which is 10 questions each. Time limit varies from 54 to 72 minutes. Uh, Here you might see the time limit is varying from 54 to 72 minutes. What does that mean, right? So it means that if you get an unscored section in reading, the time limit will increase from 54 to 72 minutes. Similarly, for listening section also, number of lectures have been reduced to 3 to 4. Again, it has the time limit is from 41 to 57 minutes, which means again you can get an unscored section listening as well. But guys, do remember that unscored section will be either in reading or in listening, not in both. So with that, you get a 10 minutes break, and then comes your speaking section where you have 4 tasks, 1 independent task and 3 integrated tasks. So in independent task, the topic will be given to you. You need to speak on that topic. And in integrated task, a reading passage will be given to you, an audio will be given to you. You have to first read, then you have to listen to that audio. You have to integrate both the skills, and then you have to start speaking on it. Duration is 17 minutes for the same. Then comes the writing section, guys. In writing section, you have 2 tasks, 1 integrated, 1 independent, and total time duration is 50 minutes for the same. So with that, I would like to play a video for all of you. This video will be showing, one second. This video will actually, talk about the entire, structure of the TOEFL test. So guys, okay. So guys, these are some of the recent updates that TOEFL has brought in. So first of all, what TOEFL has done is that you get the instant reading and listening score, which means that immediately when you complete the TOEFL test, immediately get your reading and your listening score, right? Also, you have the extended registration date now, so you can now book the TOEFL test 2 days before the actual test date. You have a faster score reporting, which means that once you're done with the TOEFL test, immediately within 3 to 4 days, you get your TOEFL score. Uh, Also, guys, I would request all the students who are present here to please go to our website and take this free full-length test of TOEFL, which is available. This is a full 3 hours test, which will test your reading, writing, listening, and speaking. It will give you a feeler of how the TOEFL test actually is. Like I told you, TOEFL test is shorter in duration now. It's a 3 hours test. That is also one of the recent updates that TOEFL has brought in. And also, this is something which is my favorite. That is the TOEFL My Best course. So I have a separate slide for the same, and a lot of students have actually benefited using the TOEFL My Best course. So I'll be talking about that in my upcoming slide. So guys, these are some of the free test materials of TOEFL which is available on our website. So I request all the students who are present here to please take a screenshot of the same. And you can go use these free content, practice as much as you want, and then go and take the TOEFL test. So coming to the registration part of TOEFL, guys, it's very simple. You just need to visit www.ets.org/myTOEFL. Make sure, guys, that you're while registering, you should register using either a valid passport or the Aadhaar card. So if you don't have a passport, a valid passport, please use an Aadhaar card. And if you're using the Aadhaar card, make sure the Aadhaar card which is there in the screen, the big Aadhaar card that all of us has got through post, you should be using that Aadhaar card if you're registering for the TOEFL or a GRE test using your Aadhaar card. Also, guys, this is the TOEFL official app, which you can download in your mobile phone. So once you download, you can get access to a lot of prep material which is there. Once you enable the GPS, it automatically shows the TOEFL test centers which are near to your place. And like I told you, you can get a lot of study material as well in this app once you download it. So guys, you can take a screenshot of this page. This will show, this will, these are some of the free test prep material which is available there on our website for your use. You can take a screenshot of this. Okay. So with that, like I told you, you can register by going to ets.org/myTOEFL. You can use your passport or your Aadhaar card. This is a screenshot of the mobile app, the TOEFL official app that we have. You can download it on your iOS or Android, and you can see the test centers that are near to your place as well as the prep resources that are there. So this is the Aadhaar card that you should be having in case if you're registering for the test using your Aadhaar card. So guys, with the $190 of TOEFL that you pay, you can apply into 4 universities of your choice free of cost, right? So again, something that you should be knowing. So with $190 that you pay for the TOEFL test, you can apply into 4 universities of your choice. So coming to the scoring part of TOEFL, guys, the sectional score for reading, writing, listening, and speaking varies from 0 to 30. The total score of TOEFL is from 0 to 120. Now coming to the something that I like is the TOEFL My Best Score. And trust me, guys, when I say this, a lot of students have actually benefited with this TOEFL My Best Score. So how does this TOEFL My Best Score work? So on the bottom left side, you can see the student took the test of TOEFL on 23rd of December, 23rd of October, where she scored in reading 17, in listening 20, speaking 22, and in writing 22. The student again retook the test in December, and where the student scored 18 in reading. There was 1 point increment if you compare it with her previous attempt. There was 2 point increment in her listening. She scored 23. So 3 point increment was there in her listening. Speaking score remained the same. And in writing, there was 2 point increment. She scored 24. So what happened out of the number of attempts, the best sectional scores were forwarded to the university, which means that if you attempt TOEFL twice or thrice, the best sectional scores out of the number of attempts will be forwarded to the university, right? So that is something that TOEFL has and no other English proficiency has till now, right? And you can actually, because I have seen students who have taken tests like IELTS that they took the test, they didn't get the desired band, and they again retake the test. So I have seen students taking the test three times or 4 times, but with TOEFL you have the surety that if you take it twice or if you're taking it thrice, the My Best scores can apply and you can actually get into your dream university using this feature of TOEFL. So coming to the home edition, guys, TOEFL home edition was basically launched at the time of pandemic, when the test centers were closed and students were not able to take the test at a test center. So ETS launched the home edition of TOEFL. So what happens in the home edition is that everything remains the same: the on-screen experience, the look and feel of the test, the scoring, everything remains the same. The only difference is that instead of you going to a test center, now you can take this test at home using your own laptop under a proctored environment. So when you're using your own laptop, there's a proctor who will be looking at you throughout the 3 hours of test to maintain the sanctity of the test, right? So you can take this test at the safety of your home and you don't have to go to a test center and take it. So the best feature or the best things about the taking this test at home is that you can take this test from Sunday to Wednesday 24 into 7. You can book the time, let's say 12 in the morning, evening 9 p.m., 6 p.m., whatever time you want. Time slots are available. You just need to book and take the test. So in short, this is a convenient testing option. There's a human proctor who will be looking at you throughout the 3 hours of test. This test can be taken 4 days a week, 24 hours a day. Registration process is also very simple, and 11,500 plus institutions are accepting the TOEFL score, right? So again, a very good option for the students who are not, who don't want to travel, to a test center. They can take the test at home now. Okay, coming to the paper edition, another variant of TOEFL. Again, everything remains the same. The only difference is that the first three sections, that are reading, listening, and writing, you have to go to a test center and take the test on a paper-based format, right? So it is basically divided into day one and day two. So the first three section, reading, listening, and writing, you have to go to a authorized ETS test center and take it. And the speaking section, you can take this test at home. So guys, do remember that you have to go to an authorized TTS center for reading, listening, and writing section. For the speaking section, you can schedule the speaking section within 3 days of the test center appointment, which means that if you have a test center appointment today, so you can schedule the speaking section either for tomorrow, day after tomorrow, or for the third day. So the advantage of taking the paper edition, first and foremost, the advantage is that with the TOEFL score that you get in paper edition, you can apply into unlimited universities of your choice, free of cost. Also, if you're booking your speaking slot as well, you can choose the day which you want. Like you want to book it the next day or the second day or the third day, and you can prepare yourself for the speaking section accordingly. So guys, for more information related to TOEFL, you can visit ets.org/TOEFL. We'll be happy to help you out. Uh, with that, I would now like to share some of the free tools for TOEFL which is available. So I request you to please take a screenshot of this page. You can use this code and basically use this link, and you can practice all the material which is available online there with us. So with that, now I would like to start asking you some questions related to TOEFL, and I hope you all were listening to what I was saying. So my first question to all the students who are there today is, uh, you know, what is the fee for the TOEFL test? You can type in the chat box. What is the fee for the TOEFL test? Any guesses? Yes. So Tane has said it's 190 US dollars. Absolutely, Tane. Thank you for that answer. Uh, any other guesses, guys? No one else? Okay, how many sections are there in TOEFL? How many sections are there in TOEFL? Any guesses?
Right, we're getting some answers from Mohini and Tane.
Yeah, so
Right.
Dhaval, could you help me out with that? Are we getting any answers? Could you just tell me?
Absolutely, absolutely. So Mohini says four, Tane says four,
Yes,
Sushant
absolutely.
says four. So
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
they've all
So
got
there
it
are
right.
four sections. Yeah, right, right, right. Thank you all for listening to me, right? So with that, I would now start off with the GRE session, guys. So first of all, when I counsel students on GRE, there's a common thing that I get to know that GRE basically, sir, is for master's program in US, and it's only accepted by US universities, which is not right, guys. So guys, do remember that GRE, with GRE you can apply for master's program, you can apply for MBA program, law program, PhD program, and it's just not till US, but any country you want you can apply using a GRE test, right? So guys, in my today's session, I will be covering an overview of the GRE test. We'll talk about the registration process of the GRE test, what to expect on a test day if you're taking this test at home or a test center. We'll talk about tips and strategies. We'll also talk about getting and sending your scores and tools that can help you prepare for the GRE test. So with that, now I'll start off with comparing the two tests, GRE and GMAT, right? So it depends on you which test you prefer. So I am here just to give you a broaden aspect of what are these two tests, right? So guys, if I talk about GRE and GMAT, why does a student take this test? With GRE, guys, you have multiple options that you can apply for. Like you have the master's program, you have the MBA program, like I told you, PhD program, law program, doctoral programs are there where you can apply using a GRE score. But GMAT is just restricted towards management programs. So if you want to get into business school, probably then you need to take a test like GMAT. If I compare the test format, GRE is a sectional adaptive test. and GMAT is a computer adaptive test. So when I say sectional adaptive test, in GRE, in verbal and in quant, you get two sections each. In verbal there are two sections, in quant there are two sections. So in verbal, each section has 20 questions each. So the level of difficulty that you get in second section depends on how well you have done your first section. In GRE, the first 20 questions you guys can actually go through and see which are the easy ones, then first start off with the easy ones and then go to the difficult questions towards the end. But GMAT is a computer adaptive test, which means that the first question that you get on screen, you cannot move to the next question without attempting the first one. So you have to first attempt that question. If it's right, the next question will be of higher marks and higher difficulty level, right? If I compare the price, the cost of the test, GRE is a $228 test, GMAT is a $250 test. Duration of the test, GRE is a 3 hours 45 minutes test, GMAT is a 3 hours 50 minutes test, and both the score validity, both the score validity for both the tests are 5 years. Now comparing the paper that most of us take here in India, which is CAT, and I'm comparing CAT with GRE. So guys, if I talk about the eligibility criteria of CAT and GRE, so CAT score is only valid for 1 year, right? Whereas GRE score is valid for 5 years, right? If I compare the duration of the test, CAT is a shorter duration test, which is a 3 hours, and GRE is a 3 hours 45 minutes test. In CAT, there's a minimum criteria that a student should at least have 50% in their graduation to take a CAT test, right? Whereas in GRE there is no such compulsion, right? CAT has been organized by a body which is called the Indian Institute of Management, IIMS, which most of us know about, and GRE is being conducted by a body which is called the Education Testing Services, ETS. Guys, this is something which most of you would agree with me that CAT is something which happens every year, right? Which means the student who prepares for the CAT, he prepares for the entire year, and the score is only valid for that year. So next year, if he doesn't get into a B school, he probably will take the CAT test again. But with GRE, guys, this is something that you can probably consider that in a year you can take the GRE test 5 times. There should be a gap of 21 days between the first test and the second test, and the score is valid for 5 years, right? Something that you can. And the best part is that with GRE score you can apply into Indian B schools as well as B schools that are abroad. But with CAT score you can only apply into B schools which are there in India, right? So that is some comparison between a GRE versus CAT. So with that, guys, GRE is been accepted, like I told you, for MBA program, master's program, specialized masters in business program, certificate program, JD, doctoral programs, and like I told you, the score is valid for 5 years. So more than 1,300 plus business schools across the globe is accepting GRE for their business program, right? And if you go to Harvard Business School, search on their website, they have mentioned that there is no minimum GMAT or GRE score that is required to get into a Harvard Business School, which means that there is no biasness towards a GMAT or a GRE score. They are accepting both GRE and GMAT. So if someone tomorrow tells you that GMAT is only for a management program, tell that person that we can also take a GRE test for the same. So guys, GRE is a computer delivered test, and you have more than 1,000 test centers across 160 countries. So if you want to see the test center which is near to your place, you can visit ets.org/GRE/test center, and you can see the test center for GRE which is near to your place. Okay, with that, now I'll talk about the GRE general test at home. Again, this was launched at the time of pandemic when students were not able to go outside and take this test at a test center. The ETS launched the GRE general test at home. So what happens again? This is again an online test which you take it on your laptop or your computer. Everything remains the same. The online experience remains the same. The fee remains the same. Score reporting remains the same. The only difference is that now you'll be taking this test at home under your home safety in a proctored environment where a proctor will be looking at you throughout the 3 hours 45 minutes of your test. So these are some of the requirements that you should be knowing if you're taking TOEFL or a GRE test at home, that you cannot use a mobile phone and a tab to take this test. You have to use a desktop or a laptop. Microphone and speaker requirement is that you have to have an internal external microphone or internal external speaker. You cannot use a headset or a earphone. Camera requirement is that you should have an inbuilt camera. If you don't have an inbuilt camera, you should place an external camera for the same. Coming to the test structure of GRE, guys, something that most of us would have been waiting to hear from me, that it has three sections. One is analytical writing, one is verbal reasoning, and one is quantitative reasoning. In analytical writing, guys, there is one section which is two tasks. So you have to basically type in your response over there, and 30 minutes is given per task. So in verbal reasoning, you have two sections, 20 questions are there per section, and 30 minutes is given per section. So like I told you guys, when your first section comes, you can actually see those 20 questions, right? And on the basis of how you did those 20 questions, the level of difficulty is divided, is for the second section, which is that will be coming to you. So with quantitative reasoning, again, guys, you have two sections, 20 questions are there per section, and 35 minutes is given per section. So the total duration is 3 hours and 45 minutes. So guys, also do remember that in GRE also you get a unscored section or a research section. So with that I mean is that if you get unscored section in verbal or in quant, the purpose of unscored section is that they want to see the level of difficulty that they're asking of the question that they're asking to a student. So if they feel that okay, it's a difficult question and probably majority of the students have not answered it correctly, they will not be using that question in upcoming GRE test that will be there. So that is the purpose of asking for a unscored section or a research section, just to know the difficulty level and are the students able to solve it or not. So giving now I'll talk about little about analytical writing. What sort of questions do you get in analytical writing? So there are two tasks that you will be getting: analyze an issue and analyze an argument. In analyze an issue, a topic will be given to you. You have to basically support using giving some examples on that topic. And in the argument, again, a topic will be given to you. Now you have to act like a critic, and you have to go against that topic with examples and all. So right now you might be thinking, "Arey, ye to bahut tough hai," but nothing like that, guys. A lot of free practice material for GRE which is available there on our ETS website. So which I request all of you to do go and visit. I'll be sharing those links with you as well. So that will be there. And guys, like I told you, in analytical writing, you have to type in your response. So, giving a closer look into the verbal reasoning part. So, these are the questions that you'll be getting, which is reading comprehension, which has multiple choice question with one answer choice. There could be a multiple choice question with one or more answer choice. You'll be having questions related to text completion and sentence equivalence as well. So, again, these course content are there available on our website of GRE. So quant basically is the same maths that we all have studied till 12th. So you don't have to, think about it could be related to calculus and all those things. So it is all the same maths that we have studied till 12th. Also, guys, do remember that you don't need to carry a calculator to a test center, or if you're taking this test at home, you don't need to have a calculator. In GRE test, you will be getting an on-screen calculator which you can use at the time of the test. So this is a screenshot of how the GRE test will look like. So you can see there's an option of back and next. So you can click on next and go and see which is the next question. And my suggestion to my students are normally, first answer all the easy questions which are there, because in GRE, whether it's a difficult question or an easy question, all questions are being given 1 point, right? So there is, it's not like a difficult question will be given higher points, not like that. So all the questions, whether it's difficult or easy, are given 1 point, right? Also, guys, do remember that in GRE there is no partial marking which is given, which means that if you get two fill in the blanks, you did one correct, one wrong. So there'll be no marks which will be awarded to you. You have to answer both the blanks correctly. This is the best part about GRE, guys, that in GRE there is no negative marking. You heard me right. There is no negative marking, which means that if you don't know an answer, at least mark something and move forward, right? So that is something that GRE has, which other test doesn't have. So coming to the scoring part of GRE, guys. So analytical writing, the score ranges from 0 to 6. For verbal reasoning and quantitative reasoning, the score ranges from 130 to 170, and the total score of GRE is out of 340, right? And the scores are valid for 5 years. So guys, this is how the review screen will actually look like. So here there's an option of review screen. So if you click on review button over here, this is how the screen will look like. It will show you how many questions you have attempted, how many questions you have not attempted, and probably after answering those easy questions, then come back to the difficult question and start, attempting that. Okay. With that, like I told you, GRE is a sectional adaptive test, which I've already explained to you. The level of difficulty that you get in second section depends on how well you have performed in your first section. So these are some of the general registration tips that I give to my students, guys. So see, like guys, GRE can be taken at any point of time, right? It's not like a paper like CAT where you know that October, November is the month where the CAT exam will happen. So we have to prepare for the CAT, from the January month itself. So GRE can be taken at any point of time. So my suggestion to the students is that you have to book the test well in advance. The advantage of booking the test well in advance is that you get your preferred location, you get the date and time that you want, and you have a focused approach towards preparing for the GRE test. So if you have booked the slot, let's say in the month of May, so okay, I have 3-4 months now to prepare for the test. So I would recommend students book the test as soon as possible, so that you get your desired date, time, and your preferred testing location. So now I'll be playing a video which will show you how to register for the GRE test. So yeah, so guys, so the ID document that you require at the time of registration is either a valid passport or the Aadhaar card, like I showed you. So if you're planning to take this test at home, these are some of the things that you should be knowing, that you should have a whiteboard or a transparent sheet with an erasable marker. The reason is that the proctor will not allow you to write it on a piece of paper, right? So if you're taking this test at home, make sure you have a whiteboard or a transparent sheet with an erasable marker. So before the test ends, the proctor will make sure that you have erased everything, and you have to show it to the proctor that you have erased everything, which is there written on the whiteboard or the transparent sheet. Also, before the start, make sure that you download the Proctor Use software on your system. It will check your internet, your video quality, your audio, everything will be checked. Close all your browsers before the start of the test, because the entire the system will be remotely controlled by the proctor. So he or she will make sure that all the browsers and applications are closed. Also, make sure the internet is working fine on that day. If you have an internet problem, make sure that you have a standby internet which you can use in case if your internet dies on that particular day. Also, guys, if you're 12 minutes late for the test will automatically get cancelled and there is no refund towards it. So, guys, during the test, make sure that the camera is facing you and the proctor is able to see you, like you guys are able to see me. Uh, Avoid talking loudly or looking away from the screen, because the proctor you will find that suspicious, and will give you a couple of warning, and after that still you're doing it, the test will get cancelled. So what happens in the proctor, if you're taking this test at home, when you're taking this test, the proctor will first ask you to show the entire room. He will make sure that the doors are closed, the windows are closed, and there is no one else in the room other than you, to maintain the sanctity of the test and give you the environment like you're giving an actual test at a test center. There's a 10 minutes break as well, which is optional, which you can take in between the test. And like I told you, there's an artificial intelligence technology that will again verify your ID once you're back from the test, from the break. So if you're taking this test at a test center, you carry your ID card, passport, or the Aadhaar card with which you have registered. Before you enter the test center, a photograph of yours will be taken, a sample of your handwriting will be collected, a thorough check will be done. You're not allowed to carry a mobile phone or smartwatches inside the test center. So please hand it over to someone outside before you enter the test center. Again, a scratch paper will be provided by the test center. You don't have to carry any papers with you. And once you're done with the GRE test, the scratch paper will be collected by the invigilator and they'll be destroying the same. So you're not allowed to take it back once your test is done. And the entire room will be covered with electronic surveillance camera, as well as a human proctor will be there looking at you while you're taking this test. So guys, these are some of the tips and strategies that I normally give to my students, that be familiar with the question format, and always time your questions, because see, any competitive examination that you take, whether it's CAT, XYZ test that you take, it's all about giving maximum number of right answers within a limited time period. So always be aware of the time, and time your questions accordingly. This is something I already told you, that there is no partial marking, which means that if you do one question correct, one part correct, one wrong, so there's no marks which that will be awarded to you. There is no negative marking in GRE, like I told you. So please answer all the questions. Even if you don't know it, answer it. Something that again I've noticed, that a lot of students, they waste their time on review screen. So please make sure that you're using review screen towards the end of the sections. Once you're done with all the questions, easy questions, then you click on the review screen and see which all questions you have left, and come back to them later on, right? Don't waste time on difficult questions, like I told you, because all the questions in GRE, they carry the same mark, right? So first try to do all the easy questions, then come to the difficult question. So now we're talking about how to, how you can get your scores, how can you cancel your scores as well in GRE. So once you're done with the GRE test, immediately you get to see the unofficial score for verbal reasoning and quantitative reasoning. So here on the screen, you can see the student has scored 360, 321 out of 700 in their GRE test. So which is a good score. So in case the student doesn't get a good score, let's say he or she scores less than 290 or something like that, they don't want to save the scores. There's an option of not to save. So once you click on not to save, what happens is that the score will not get saved, and the universities that you've selected will not be receiving your scores. So when you're the day you're going to a test center, a day before you're going to a test center, or on the day you're going to a test center to take the test, you can choose the universities where you want to send your GRE scores to. So with $228 that you pay, US dollars that you pay for the test, you can apply into 4 universities of your choice free of cost, right? So and if you want to apply into any additional universities, you have to pay $30 per additional score reporting that you want to send to a university of your choice. But with the GRE fee, you can apply into 4 universities of your choice free of cost. This is a very good feature of GRE, which is called the score select. Again, if a student has taken this test twice or thrice and they want to send their scores, they can choose which score they want to send to the universities. They want to, if you want to share the score of first attempt, you can share that. If you want to share the score of second attempt, you can share that. And if you want to share the score for all the 3 attempts, you can share that as well. And let the university decide which score they want to go ahead with. So guys, GRE score normally comes within 10 to 15 days after the test, test you're taken. You can see the score on your ETS account. You can also take a printout of that copy as well. So this is a sample of how the GRE scorecard will look like for a student. On the left side, you can see the marks that you have got, and on the right side, you can see the universities and the programs where you have applied using your GRE score. So like I told you guys, GRE can be taken 5 times in a year, with a gap of 21 days between the first test and the second test. A very good feature that GRE has, which is called the GRE diagnostic service, guys. So basically, how this works is that uh, so once your GRE score is out, you have got the GRE score. The diagnostic service will tell you how you performed in your previous test. So it shows, let's say, in the first section of reading comprehension, how many right questions you did, how much time you took to solve the right question, what was the difficulty level of that question. So if you did a question wrong, what was the difficulty level of that question, how much time you took, so that if you're planning to take the test again, now you know which are the questions where I need to improve upon, right? So it helps you when preparing yourself if you're planning to take the test again. So guys, I would request you to please take a screenshot of this page. These are some of the free content of GRE which is available there on our ETS website, and really going to help you all. So I request you to please take a screenshot of this page. So for additional practice guys, you can purchase these content which is available there on our ETS website. You have the Power Plus online, which is available. It has a lot of questions. Also, it has some mock GRE tests which are available, which is actually which is just like giving you an actual test. You can take this test online and you get feedback for the test as well. So these are some of the free content of these are not free. Actually, you need to purchase these content, the GRE official guide, GRE verbal reasoning, GRE, quantitative reasoning official guide. So all these are for additional practice that you want. So you can actually go to our website, order them, and it will be delivered at your place. So coming to the again a very good feature of GRE, which is called the GRE search service. So at the time of registration, if you enable the GRE search service, what happens is that once your GRE score is out, universities will now, other than the four universities where you applied in, other universities will also be getting your scores and they will start reaching out to you. And now it is your choice whether you want to apply in those universities or not. If you feel that okay, that is a reputed university and the program suits you, probably then you can apply in that university using your GRE score. So with that, guys, I am done with the session. So this is our contact detail. So any student who is planning to take the GRE test can, or having problem while registering for the test can reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to help you out. And it's time for the quiz. So I would request students to please scan this code and start answering. So you can submit the test latest by 5:15. So after that, the test will get closed. So any student who is scoring, the best will be getting Amazon voucher worth rupees 1,000. Make sure that you're not repeating, you're retaking the test. It is only allowed once. So if you've taken it once and you scored good, you will be awarded with Amazon voucher worth rupees 1,000. The top three winners will be getting that. So I request students to please start, taking this quiz. Meanwhile, students who have any queries related to TOEFL or GRE can type their queries in the chat box. Dhaval will be, asking those questions to me, and I'll be answering it on, its behalf. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Well,
Dhaval,
fantastic
yeah,
session, Joseph, there. Tremendous insights. And it was not just a session where you were giving out information about these exams. What I liked about this session is that you're also giving out strategies, right? And I think
absolutely,
a lot of our folks here in attendance today will appreciate that. For everyone else, please scan this QR code. Request you take this test. As Joseph mentioned, there's a 1,000 rupee Amazon voucher that comes along with it. So do go ahead, take that test. Make sure you're filling out your details uh, accurately so that once the test submissions are in, Joseph and ETS India can determine who the Amazon voucher goes to. Right? Is that correct, Joseph?
absolutely, absolutely,
Amazing.
absolutely.
Great. Coming to the questions now, while everyone is taking this test, there were quite a few questions that popped up. We'll take this exam by exam. There are a couple of questions that are same for both GRE and TOEFL. I think we'll start with TOEFL first, right? Since that was the section you began with. So one of the questions that came up is, when does one start preparing for TOEFL?
Oh, that's a very good question, Dhaval. So, any student is who wants to study after 11th, who wants to go study abroad after like completing their graduation schooling, they can start taking tests. So, ideally, I have seen students from 11th they start taking the test so that once they pass out from 12th, they can do their graduation in US. So in college also student can take the TOEFL in case if they are planning to do their MBA or their masters. So, if a college student, let's say a BTech student, can start taking the TOEFL test from their pre-final year, and for a graduate student who's having a 3 years program, can start taking it from their second year itself. And student who is there in the school can start taking the TOEFL when they are about to finish their 11th class or when they're entering their 12th class.
Awesome.
I hope I
Great. Thanks
answered
for
your.
answering that. Absolutely. There was one question that I think is for a specific set of people, right? Now, this question is that for those with speaking issues, does TOEFL have like extended time?
Speaking issues, what does the speaking issue mean? Is it like something like they're not able to
We're
speak
assuming that,
well in
right?
English?
I'm going to go ahead and assume. No, I'm going to assume that this is more with respect to, um, you know, uh, let's just say stammering could be an issue.
Okay. So yeah, absolutely. In that case, ETS gives an opportunity to that student. So the main thing is that, that the student is able to communicate the idea to the speaker, though the student might be having
Right.
have a stammering issue. But if the student is
Mhm.
able to communicate the idea, absolutely there is no problem with that. Even a disabled student, like a student who is blind or a person who cannot see, or they can also take the GRE, the TOEFL test, right? So it's not a problem, but the main thing is that the student is able to communicate his or her idea at the time when they're having the speaking section with the invigilator.
Okay, so, but there's no special extended time for this, right?
uh, Depends on case to case. In some cases, they give them some time. So
Mhm.
yes, you can consider it as a special case. So they have to
Okay,
fill that area of disability, like what is the disability that the student has, and according to that, the time will be allocated. It depends on the
un-
disability that the student has.
understood. So, does one have to make this submission at the time of registration?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Great. I hope that answers the question for this gentleman who asked it. Again, one very popular question that came up was, can the registration date or test center be changed for TOEFL? Even for GRE for that matter. We have a very similar question for GRE.
Test center date can be changed. So yes, absolutely, but you need to change it, at least a week before the test date. If you're changing it 2, 3 days before the test date, so there will be some late fees that will be charged. So you have to, change it well in advance. You have to take, at least my suggestion for the students will be, at least, rebook it 2, 3 weeks before their actual test date if they want to, change the date.
Understood. So the takeaway from this answer is that it applies to both TOEFL and GRE, and you
TOEFL as
can
well as
change the
GRE.
registration dates and center, right?
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
Great. There was a question that came up for TOEFL again, is how many attempts can one take? Uh, how many
So there
could?
is no, yeah, so there is no limit to the taking of attempts. So if
Mhm.
a student feels that okay, but see, ideally, if a student who is retaking the TOEFL test, I have seen 2 attempts are more than enough, where a student can actually get into their dream universities by the process of my best score, right? So there is no capping on the number of attempts. So yeah, ideally by 2 attempts a student gets into a, an average student, they get into their dream university after taking a couple of attempts. So there is no capping on the number of attempts that are there. Like in GRE, you have 5 times.
Mhm.
In TOEFL, there
Right.
is no such number of attempts here.
Great. And also, do you recommend any books for TOEFL? Similar to the slide that you showed earlier for GRE, are there any practice books, practice tests for TOEFL?
Absolutely, absolutely. There are practiced, like I told you, the free content I've already shared with the student. When they
Right.
visit our website, they can see more content. Like there are TOEFL official guide is there, student planner
Mhm.
is there, which a student can purchase. They can book it online, and the content will be delivered to their place.
Amazing. Amazing. Great. We'll move on to the GRE section now. There are a couple of questions that came up for GRE as well. Number one question being, what is the difference between GRE general and subject test? This question was asked by Ved.
Yeah. So, Ved, this is a very good question. So, GRE general test is a standardized test, like which will be testing you on quant and verbal part and your essay writing. Subject test is a core test, which there are 6 to 7 subject test that a student normally has an option if they want to get into a university, but it depends upon the university to university whether they require a subject test for that program or not. So a subject test is out of 800, so it actually depends on the program that you're applying in. It is not mandatory for all the institutes that are there. Some institutes they don't require a subject test, but yes, some institutes are there which will be requiring a subject test. So it depends on the university that you're selecting and the program that you're opting for. So I would request you to first create a bucket of institutes where you want to get into, identify them as your dream university, reach university, safe university. Dream should be the one where where you want to get into. Reach is a university list where there are 50-50 chance of you getting into. And safe universities are those universities where according to your GRE score and your academics and all, you can easily get into. So just go through those lists, Google those universities, go to their website, see whether they require the GRE subject test or not. If they require, probably then you can start preparing for the GRE subject test, and you can opt for the test which they have asked for. So could be regarding related to economics, could be related to chemistry or physics. So it depends on the university where you are planning to apply into.
That was a great answer. Uh, Another question that has come up on very similar lines is, are universities considering only center-based tests and not home-based tests? Is that true? Satvik asks this question.
So, Satvik, whichever test you take, whether you take a general test at home or you take a GRE test at a test center, the scorecard will remain the same. It will show that you have taken a GRE test. So it is no, it doesn't matter whether you take a GRE general test at home or GRE test, but I would suggest go for a test which you are comfortable in taking in, right? So if you're comfortable taking this test at home, take the test at home. If you're comfortable taking it at a test center, you can probably go to a test center and take the test. I have seen students who are staying in, let's say, some far areas. They don't have a GRE test centers, and for them, traveling to coming to Delhi and taking the test is a hectic thing because it's a close to 3 hours 45 minutes test for which they have to travel to Delhi. So it depends on you. Like if you have a test center there near to your place, I would recommend go to a test center and take. But if you don't have a test center, please go for the GRE general test at home and take the test from home itself.
Right. All right.
Uh,
And well, we have one last question, and this is from me, of course. I've
yeah,
never written the GRE before, but there's an
yeah.
interesting question. That there was an interesting doubt that came rather in my mind is, you mentioned that once when one takes that, when once the GRE is taken, right, students have the option to actually submit these scores as their official scores, right? And these get submitted to the universities, right? They get relayed to the universities of one's choice, right? So if I take the test second time around, do I still have that option to resubmit these new scores? Let's just say that I have done better in my latest examination than the previous one. Do I have that option to submit me new scores now?
Absolutely, you can submit. So whenever you're taking the test again, so what happens is that you again have to pay the entire fee, and you again have the option of choosing the four universities, which where you want to send your scores to. So again, and if you save your scores, if you have saved your first attempt score and you have also saved your second attempt score, there's an option like I told you about score select. So you can now, using score select, you can choose which score you want to send to the university. If you want to send the latest score, which has higher marks, you can probably do that. If you want to send both the scores and you want to leave it up to the university to choose which score they want, you can do that as well. So I think I've answered your query, Dhaval.
Absolutely, absolutely. And
Yeah.
there's one question that we're getting this very consistently in the chat box. What is the difference between TOEFL and SAT? I'll take the liberty to answer this. Maybe you could probably chip in,
Yeah, yeah.
Joseph. Yeah. So from what my understanding is, SAT is more around problem solving and reasoning, right? While TOEFL, as the name suggests, is focused purely on your language skills, your English skills, right? Your written and verbal skills for that matter in English. But SAT is Scholastic Aptitude Test that purely revolves around problem solving and reasoning. Maybe Joseph, you can add on to that more, probably bring out the differences and highlight
Yeah.
that for
Yeah,
us.
so see, yeah, absolutely. So see, SAT or ACT, uh, which a student, so Scholastic Aptitude Test was the former name for SAT, but now they only prefer SAT now for the test. So what a student has to, when they enter their 12th or when they're in their 11th, they start, preparing for this test SAT. So SAT is a standardized test that you have to take because universities will want your SAT score, right?
Right.
TOEFL
Right.
score is also what university wants, and TOEFL score is what your visa is also mandatory for your visa purpose as well. So
Right.
purpose of asking TOEFL is that because you're coming from a non-English speaking country to an English speaking country, they want to see whether you can survive in that country or not, whether you can
Correct.
read, write, listen, speak, and all, right? So SAT
Absolutely.
is mandatory, your TOEFL is mandatory, your academics plays a very important role. Other than that, the extracurricular activities, if you're a part of a debating society or you're a part of a quizzing society, if you have won some medal, you're a sports player, you should mention all that thing in your profile, and a good letter of recommendation from your teachers and a statement of purpose of why you want to get into that university, why that program you want to choose in that particular university, with a good SOP and all the things, a good SAT score, good TOEFL score, your admission into a good university, the chances are more of you getting into a good university. Yeah, so you should have a complete profile when you're applying into a university abroad. So SAT is mandatory and TOEFL is mandatory. It's not like with TOEFL you can get into a university. So a standardized test like SAT, it actually shows the university where you stand among other students who have applied. So it's not just you who are applying, but a student from China or any other part of the world are also taking the SAT exam, right? So it is a mandatory test that you need to take along with TOEFL.
Tremendous. Well, thanks for answering that. And, Joseph, thank you for your time today. We really appreciate that. And of course, everyone in attendance will have similar feelings, right? For anything in case of doubts or queries, of course, Joseph had flashed, the numbers and sites that you can visit. I'm assuming all of you have taken screenshots, so you can always, log on to www.ets.org/GRE for any questions that you have related to GRE. Right, you can also call on that number that's on your screen right now for any questions that you have about GRE. Right, Joseph, is there also a number that we have for TOEFL today?
It's
Maybe
the
you'd want
same
to.
number. It's the same number. So students can give a call to the same number. We'll guide them about TOEFL as well as GRE. If they have any query related to registration process or any query related to TOEFL or GRE, we'll be more than happy to help them out.
Amazing, amazing. Fantastic. Again, Joseph, we cannot thank you enough for spending time with us today, educating us on both these exams. And hopefully, it's going to help everyone in attendance today get a step closer to their dream education. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you, Dhaval, and I wish all the students all the best for their future. Merry Christmas to all and a Happy New Year. And thank you for being part of the session. And if you have any queries, guys, we'll be more than happy to support you. Right. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Have a good one.